So today we're going to be talking about the lab technique of measuring mass. So what exactly is measuring mass? So the easiest definition of mass is the amount of matter that is in an object. Measuring mass is one of the most important techniques when it comes to science. It allows for scientists to quantify the different amounts of a substance, which is an essential step when it comes to preparing solutions, conducting reactions, and even performing stoichiometry. What is the purpose of measuring mass? Using this lab technique, scientists are able to determine the amount of a substance we have, whether it be in a solid, liquid, or gas form. Measuring mass can help to answer a variety of questions such as, how much product can I make? How much excess gas did I lose? Or even, how much more of this substance do I have than another? This technique is appropriate in nearly almost every single lab setting, especially when it comes to wanting to know exact quantities, whether it be from determining the amount of solution you need in a reaction or how much product was made. There are multiple different types of equipment that can be used, and some of them being an electronic balance, a spatula or a scoopula, or beakers or flasks. The spatula or scoopula can be used to put different solids or scoop things out of containers that contain any chemicals or solids that you'll be using in the lab. And the beakers or flasks can be used to hold these chemicals, these solids, or whatever you're really measuring and putting on the scale. So the cleanup and preparation for this lab technique, you always need to make sure to clean the scale before and after use to make sure results are as accurate as possible. Only use brushes or cloths to get off the substances on the scale. Never use water or chemicals on the scale unless instructed to do so, because the scales are typically electronic, so if you use any water, it could get into the electronic components of the scale. And if you use any chemicals, it might cause some corrosion or unwanted residues left on the scale. So never do that unless instructed to do so by your professor, lab teacher, or anyone else. After the completion of your use of the scale, make sure to turn it off and close any lids if necessary. Put it back where you got it from, and never just leave it out lying around for your safety and the safety of other people in the lab. How to measure mass. So first, you want to start with a dry container or a piece of paper and add that to your balance. Secondly, once the beaker or paper is added to your balance, you will be able to press the tare, which is located on the balance, and this will zero your scale out, so you'll start from a clean slate with your container or paper. So it won't account for that mass that's on the scale, just the mass of whatever you will be adding onto that piece of paper or into the container. Next, you'll want to add the substance to the container carefully, making sure not to spill any around you or around the container. After that, you'll want to read and record the mass to the correct number of significant figures after it comes to complete stable stop. When finished, remove your container and clean the area. So for safety when measuring the mass, you will typically use the general overview of a lab safety, which is always required in any lab setting, such as having your long hair tied back, making sure you're wearing your goggles, and definitely no eating or drinking in the lab. Specifically for this lab technique, make sure your scale is on a flat surface as to never spill or maybe have any inaccurate readings when using your scale. Never use broken or chipped beakers, and make sure to handle all chemicals being used with care. And make sure to dispose of any substances and chemicals according to your lab manual. Never dispose of anything without consulting your manual first if you're unsure of what to do with it, whether the chemicals can go down the drain, whether the solids need to be put in a specific waste bucket, or if they can just go in the normal trash. The results and interpretation when using this technique will come through as a successful measurement whenever you are recording your mass with a scale would be a stable or consistent number popping up on the screen. It will be consistently one number. It won't keep changing, going up and down. And once you get that consistent number, that will be your measurement of mass. The results of the measurement will be quantitative, otherwise known as a numerical value, which is typically with a few digits after the decimal, just depending on how far your scale goes within the digits. There are many different units of measuring mass, all depending on the settings you have on for this scale. So for example, in our picture right here, you can see that there is grams, there's ounces, there's a few different modes for weighing and measuring the mass, just depending on what setting you want to put it on based upon what you'd like to have as your units of measurement. So applications in and out of our chemistry labs. We used the technique of measuring mass in multiple labs throughout the semester, such as the mole lab, gas stoichiometry lab, etc. We used this technique when determining how much CO2 gas we had lost in the gas stoichiometry lab recently, and when determining what amount of copper we had in the mole lab. We used this technique in almost every single lab, I believe. It didn't go unnoticed. We had to measure out pretty much everything. And it fit into all of the labs we did this semester by allowing us to be able to really perform the different reactions by figuring out how much of a substance we needed, by being able to use the technique of measuring mass to get the exact amount that we needed. This technique can be used outside of the classroom in a variety of different ways, such as in different companies as testing the amounts of substances in the environment, in the medical field like a pharmacy, determining how much drug is needed for the right effect on a person, or even just in daily life, like such as people wanting to weigh themselves to see how much they weigh. And that'll be used on a scale, not necessarily the same scale used in chemistry lab, but like a similar idea, similar concept, and it is measuring the same amount of thing, which is mass. So my sources were this website that I had right here, our mole lab handout, and my gas stoichiometry post lab. Thank you.